This is a specific question from a book. This is from K.S. Kannan. You have said in your book that Bharatanatyam has been Christianized and yoga has been digested into Christian modes. Could you just give a picture of this situation?
Yeah, I have a lot of vocabulary I've introduced in this book, original vocabulary. One of them is history centrism, which I talked about, and so on. Another term I've introduced is digestion of one civilization into another. By digestion, I mean that like a tiger eats a goat, and the goat is the one who gets digested. It is not that the two merge and they're both equal. It's not like that. And I tell them that when a goat is digested, the tiger has a separate DNA, goat has a separate DNA. And the tiger cannot accept even a single cell of goat DNA inside his body. It will be toxic. So the goat has to be, as part of the digestion process, has to be broken down to the molecular level, and those molecules have to be broken into basic raw material so that it can be reassembled into tiger DNA. So the goat disappears and the tiger becomes stronger. It is not that after eating the goat, the tiger becomes mild and gentle like a goat. So this business that, they'll take us over, but it'll be good, we'll become part of them, and they will become mild like us. It doesn't happen. So the point is, if you look at history, the Western civilization and Christianity in particular have digested what the previous one question called pagan, which I don't like as a term, but let's say native traditions of Native Americans, American Indians. Europe, before it was Christian, was like that. They had goddesses, in which Christianity didn't allow. They had so many different deities, which are all finished off. Christianity digested all these, took the Christmas tree came from so-called pagans. Easter came from pagans. I don't know if you know this. So many of the rituals, symbols, festivals are digested. What they could accommodate without compromising the history centrism. So they'll accommodate when a civilization is being digested. So Bharatanatyam language and grammar can be accommodated, but those stories are replaced by Christian stories over time. And yoga, the practices and techniques and things of that kind which are generic can be accommodated. And then this chakra becomes the Christ center. And I've lived there for 40 years, and the yoga ashrams, the yoga teaching places, yoga centers, for the first 20 years were very Hindu. And many of the yoga teachers had Hindu gurus in the 60s and 70s. But those guys, when they left, the Westerners became the gurus themselves. And then they started following what the client base wants. The client base doesn't want much Hindu stuff, all these things. So they started phasing that out. And there was a neutral phase when it was very secular. Now the latest trend is Christian yoga. The fastest growing form of yoga is Christian yoga. Almost every yoga center has some classes in Christian yoga, and they're the ones that get a lot of audience. Because the people who've gone into this yoga tradition feel guilty that they've betrayed their DNA. And they want to come back take this, digest it, bring it back into their DNA. And that DNA is the Nicene Creed, the one I explained, the history-centric Nicene Creed. So they want to map all this into the Nicene Creed so they can remain Judeo-Christian and also have the benefit of this. Now the problem from our point of view is that what is left of the goat? A pile of manure. Okay, so what is left of the Native Americans is there in museums, that this is the Native American, they did this dance, they were singing like this, they were doing that, exotic people, but not a living civilization. So when all the nutrients, when all the useful things that one has are sucked and digested and Christianized, then what is left? Praising me. He was coming to me, licking me, sniffing at me, checking me out, and he's invited me to be part of his, I can even go inside him. So, in a sense, it is a foolish thing, not because, you get rid of the difference, you become homogenized, you become remapped, reconstituted into another framework. So, I'm writing a book now which will be coming out in 2012 called The U-Turn Theory, which explains the digestion in greater detail and many, many examples of how digestions happen. And you will see that a lot of neuroscience and cognitive science in the West is studying yogis, Advaita Vedanta, theories of mind, theories of consciousness, Buddhists, and they are using this to upgrade neuroscience and upgrade cognitive science. And in doing so, it has become very fashionable. The first generation of such people were 20, 30 years ago. They would mention that this is Vipassana meditation we're going to do research on, or Maharishi's transcendental meditation, or Yoga Nidra. But then to get grants that would classify as science, they were told don't talk these things because now it's all considered some Eastern wisdom and spirituality, and that's not science. So they were asked to drop these. So they started dropping them and introduced a new jargon and a new vocabulary, replacing the Indian terms and removing their links, their personal links with the Indian teachers from whom they had learned. And now in the history of cognitive science, all kinds of modern terminology has been introduced, replacing the Indian words, and the pioneers are all Westerners. So you'll see Herb Benson is a pioneer, but actually he learned it from Maharishi, he learned TM. You'll see Stephen LaBerge, he took Yoga Nidra and he called it lucid dreaming, as a state of consciousness, lucid dreaming. And now there are many institutes of lucid dreaming that are teaching all this. And then you have John Kabat-Zinn, who has trademarked mindfulness meditation, and that's Vipassana. He learned it from his early books, talk about that. So I'm writing this U-turn theory to explain what happens when you get digested.